Attack! I am Dungeon Thrasher Lenny Blade, and I am. This is the Dungeons and Thrashers show, and this is a special episode because I am here with my good friend Kirk Reed. Hello, Kirk.
Hi, Lenny. Well, unlike Lenny, I'm an old grognard, and actually I'm normal, but we'll see what he has to say.
Yes. Now, we thought it would be interesting to get two takes on this new box set from Wizards of the Coast, the Spelljammer box set. And Kirk actually managed to get two of them. Would you care to explain a little bit how?
Well, okay, so sitting at home and drinking by myself, I managed to get drunk enough to, on two different occasions, to forget that I ordered the first one and ordered another one, okay? So it's very embarrassing, but that's how it happened.
Yes, I'm happy you got drunk and ordered that extra set, so I got it for free. So anyways, so now we have the opportunity to get two different takes on this new box set. So we will start with the setting. Now this is a reimagining of sorts of an older setting from second edition, I believe.
Right.
Did you have any previous experiences?
I did. I played it, and I didn't care for it because they forced the Spelljammer, the thing that made it move, they forced that to be a wizard, which would use up your wizard in your party, and he was always using his spells to make the ship move. So it wasn't necessarily very popular. They fixed that in this supplement.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's right. I don't have any previous experience. I remember seeing the books and I remember seeing the logo, but I never played it back in the day. So I think the setting is quite interesting because it's in the astral plane, which is not a place you go to very often, usually, in D&D. And so basically the astral plane consists of wild spaces, they're called, which are basically worlds or other settings, for example. So Ravenloft could be one wild space, for example, and so forth. And then in between that, there's something called the astral sea. And that's basically... Okay, so the setting. So basically the setting is it's in the astral plane. And there is wild space and the astral sea. So the wild space is an airless void, kind of much like our sort of universe. Like if you go into space, something happens to you, die or something.
Right. If you run out of air.
Yes. Whereas if you're in the astral sea, you do get a little bubble of air, and you can basically exist indefinitely, and you don't need food or water, and you can propel yourself without a ship, though it's pretty dangerous. So most people use a ship, and hence the Spelljammer helmets helms that we talked about earlier. And yeah, do you have anything to say about the setting?
Well, okay, so I'm not a big fan of the setting. I think it's like a poor man's shot at ship-to-ship naval warfare things, and it's useful to go from point A to point B where you're going to do something at point B. If you're going to do things in wild space, in the astral sea, you're kind of stuck with hauling cargo and avoiding pirates, I think. Mm-hmm. So that, you're kind of restricted to what you can do there, and the warfare is rather restricted.
Yeah, I also find I also play a few war games, and so I find the rules to be a little bit too light, actually, on that area. I would have liked it to be a little bit more strategic.
Well, you have to remember that this is strictly a supplement. Mm. This is a supplement to the regular player's handbook and all that. So it's really kind of thin. It does cover the whole area fairly well, I thought, and the art in it is fantastic. But it's really kind of light.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it leaves a lot up for interpretation as well, I think. But another thing about the setting is the sort of hub world, the Rock of Brawl, which is detailed with a map. Oh, maybe we should show... There's a map in the back here. and it details the Rock of Brawl.
Just pull it out. You can pull it out.
Okay.
You can
So it would look. So you can just see this now it's upside down, but this is this is the size of it. So it's a pretty decent map.
Actually, given the fact of gravity can be ever which way, it's right side up. You're upside down.
That's right. That's absolutely right. All right. So and that's a pretty interesting hub world. I think it's cool to have a hub world, kind of like maybe what's it called? The tavern at the Yawning Portal.
The Yawning Portal.
Yeah.
Well, you know, so it's one of many, and I think that's the big best part of this whole thing is that you can put things anywhere. You don't have to use their hub world. The idea is, as you fly through the space, you could, for example, you know, go to Ravenloft or go to some planet that had temples and things from some lost race or something like that, which could be a lot of fun. So
yeah.
I view this as a way to get from A to B, unless you're going to deal with pirates and things like that, you know, in space warfare, and perhaps two cultures that are warring. You could do that. So a lot of it is up to the developer to put in what you like.
Yeah, right. And yeah, I think a whole campaign in just in this setting in space wouldn't work very well. I agree with you. Like, and it's also an interesting idea that you could combine worlds. You know what I mean? Because technically, you could go to Kryn, for example, which is obviously the Dragonlance setting, and then you could mix and match. Like if
So a couple of things came to mind as I was looking at this. One of them was there's an old D&D module, S3, called Expedition to the Barrier Reefs or something, Barrier Peaks, yeah, Barrier Peaks. And it involves like a crashed spaceship that you can go investigate. And it's really quite a fun module because it deals with robots and things like that. So it'd be a really easy include, and you could modify it to fit this world. Another way to take it would be there is a module that dealt with ants or something like that. It was the slave guys. And so you could go on a mission to try to stop slave trade, and that would fit in very well. So this thing is it's got a lot of ways to put in new and neat things that you had in mind, or to make up your own.
Yeah, right. Yeah, so let's go into the rules a little bit. Now, as we said before, the rules section is not very big. It really isn't a lot of rules here. I think in general they are a little bit too loose. For example, take the Spelljammer helm. So there's no real range described. And I know that because in my favorite ship, the ones who fly that, they use the Spelljammer helmets to hijack other ships when they come close enough. But it's not really specified how close you have to be to start a spelljamming duel, as they call it.
Oh, I beg to differ with you.
Okay.
It has rules, and it says for the weaponry, it goes 250 feet, and that's the close range for bows and ballista. And then the next, there's two other ranges, and there's one that's 1,000 feet that's considered far away. So right away you see that you have to be really, really close to be able to board another ship. You have to be within 5 feet.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so it does talk about that, and that was one of the things I didn't particularly care for. The weaponry on these ships is really not very effective, and it's clear that either boarding and going hand to hand or whatever, or using spells at their Dungeon Master and Player Handbook ranges are going to be what's going to work for you.
Yeah, I felt that as well. And also the ranges for the ballistas, for example. Now, I'm not, you're the, the scientist, the physicist maybe, but I mean, if you shoot something in space, doesn't it just keep going?
Yeah, but I think that you have to suspend that a little bit.
Oh, okay, yeah. Well, I guess, yeah, maybe you can point it and you can aim effectively at that range, maybe, but it will keep going.
So that was one of the disturbing things I found, in that if you do ship-to-ship combat in the Navy, the idea, there's a concept called crossing the T, in which you bring your broadside, which has all your weaponry, into the point of the other ship so you can shoot it in its nose, like that. But in here, it says the weapons can point in any direction at any time, so it doesn't make any difference how you're oriented towards an enemy ship. Yeah. And I thought that was a little cop-out.
Yeah, I would also have liked it to be a little bit more strategic, because it could have been fun with a hex map and do some real...
Right, and having to maneuver.
Yeah, I totally agree. Yes, so the Spelljammer helm can now be worn by any spellcaster, I believe. So a bard, a druid. I mean, in 5e, almost anyone could be a spellcaster, right?
Yes.
A rogue can be a spellcaster. What, a paladins, clerics, anyone. So you don't have to use the wizard for that, or the
But I can see why somebody would want to be the master of the helm, because it pays a lot of money. In fact, everything about these ships is very expensive. So you're going to have to figure out where the money where the gold pieces come from, because ship repairs are really expensive. The cost for a Spelljammer person is like 50 gold pieces.
Yeah.
Or something like that.
Yeah,
anyway,
I had that down in my notes here. Yeah, I was going to talk about that as well. Yeah, it's very expensive, and you can fix your ship using the mending spell, but it's very slow, and it's not super efficient.
But it's clear that that's the way to do it.
Yeah, for sure.
You can use one mending spell per hour, or some number. They had a time frame, so you can do it, but you only can do like one die 8 points at a time per hour or something like that. And you can do a lot of damage depending on how the fighting goes.
Right. Okay, and I think one of the most interesting thing, or that people will think is the most interesting about this, are the new races. And there were quite a few, 6 maybe?
Wait a minute, before we go there,
more.
I would like to talk about, in the just general spelljamming rules, there are 2 things that the DM's going to have to manage that could be or could not be a pain in the ass, depending on how you handle it. One is the air and air bubbles to breathe, okay, because if you have a personal air bubble, it only lasts for 1 minute, okay. And the other one is managing gravity planes, especially when 2 ships come together and things like that.
Right.
So and there was some places where there was like some stuff was left out. For example, there's a thing called a fish suit, which is like a space suit, but it didn't give any rules for the duration. And then, so overall, I don't know, I kind of liked it, but there was little gaps that you're going to have to fill in as a DM. Okay, so go ahead and let's talk about what you...
Oh, yeah. So the new races. So I thought it would be interesting just to, instead of making this a 1-hour video talking about every race, that we would pick one race that we liked and one race that we didn't like, or at least the least favorite race and our favorite race out of the new races here. So for my favorite race, I have 2 actually, but so there is one race called the Plasmoid, which I think mechanically might be the best, but I'm not going to talk about that. My favorite one was the Thri-Kreen, which was like the insectoid sort of race there. At first, I thought, they have 4 arms, so cool, you can have like 2 extra shields. You will have an AC of, you know, 30, but no. So what you can do with those extra arms is just you can manipulate small objects. It can still be useful because you could like prepare potions in them, for example, or you can maybe reload a crossbow or something.
Yes.
Up to the DM's discretion, I would allow that at least. They also have a protective carapace, which they can, like a chameleon, they can change it so they have advantage on stealth checks. And if
with no armor, it takes them to AC 13.
Yes, yes. Oh yeah, the protective carapace, yes. And they can also change the color of it. So right. if you combine that with a rogue, you know, so that could be pretty useful, I would say. And also, what else did they have? Dark vision. This is another thing I don't really like. This is about 5e in general. It's not about this supplement. Everyone has dark vision. Yeah. Everyone. Okay. Why do halflings have dark visions? You know, the Thri-Kreens, I think 2 or 3 more of the new races, and everyone has dark vision. So what's the point? Anyways, it's a good thing. They also have telepathy, the Thri-Kreen telepathy. This I thought was a little bit of a save because their own language is that they click their mandibles and they swirl their antennas around.
So the Thri-Kreen are a take from the Burning Sun, or there was a whole D&D supplement thing that they made that had sun in it anyway, and
probably Dark Sun, yeah.
The Dark Sun, yeah, that's right. Okay, so the Thri-Kreen were very fun there, and I played a Thri-Kreen in a tournament one time, and the Thri-Kreen in that setting were known to eat elves, and the elves were like big and tall. So anyway, so we had an elf in our party,
of course,
and I told the guy, well, I'll call you, you know, and clicked, and anyway, so we go along and all that. And finally, near the end of this tournament, I told this elf guy, I said, you never asked me what the meant. And he goes, oh, what does it mean? I said, it means food. and he was a little miffed. But anyway, so you can have fun with the clicking stuff and all that too.
Yeah.
I think they make good fighters, by the way.
Oh, yeah, I think so too. Yes, and they don't sleep either. They just go inactive, but they're still completely aware of everything that's around them. And I just like they are. What were they? Creature type? I didn't take. I think it was.
Everything was humanoid.
Oh yeah. They're all humanoid, but yeah. Anyways, I really liked the Thri-Kreen. So, what was your favorite?
Okay, so
it's the same. No.
So I actually, there was a couple that I liked. I liked the Astral Elves and the Thri-Kreen also, but my favorite was the Hadazee.
Oh, right.
And I said, well, anything that's got extra hands, or has feet that can manipulate things and all that, I said, that's got to be a dual-wielding Hadazee rogue.
Okay.
It's got to be. And I said, man, I just was drawn to that like stink on crap. Anyway, so there was a lot of ways you could handle that, but that just seemed so perfect for me that was clearly my favorite.
Okay. Did you have? And I agree, it's an interesting race for sure. I don't think we have to go into the controversy.
I didn't pay any attention to the controversy.
No, actually, to be honest, when I heard about all this,
controversy is silly.
Wizards of the Coast, they went back and they revised. I actually, because I already read it, I didn't find any racist stuff. So I went back and I read it, and I'm like, okay, if you absolutely are looking for racist stuff, you can find it. I'm not a racist, so I don't look for that stuff. Yeah, so I didn't find any.
Me either. It never occurred to me.
No. So, anyways, yes. Did you have a?
Okay, so I got to tell you, I really don't
care. What
is
the guy doing?
Recording.
Didn't care for.
what was your least favorite race?
Okay, so I have to say that I really am not a fan of constructs. I really don't care for them, and so that would be my least favorite. The other one, I just didn't like the idea of being a plasmoid. Now, I have to give you the fact that a plasmoid, if you look at it like Odo in Deep Space Nine, you can do a lot of things with being a shape changer.
Yes.
So that has a tremendous amount of role-playing ability.
Yeah.
That's just not me being an ooze. So, but what I hate most is the constructs. I just don't want to be a machine.
So your least favorite is the Autonome?
Yeah, I don't care for the Autonome.
Same for me. I had that written down. Like I said, I wrote down silly and stupid.
Yeah.
And one of the things I also didn't really care for was like they get resistance towards poison. So if they are constructs, they should be immune.
Right.
But also,
yes.
But in the description, it says that some constructs might have a real heart pumping. Some of them might have gears, clockwork gears. It's very. So which one is it? If you have no biological, parts of you,
right.
you should be immune, not resistant to poison.
Right. Exactly.
And also, why do they have 30 feet movement?
Right.
First of all, they're constructs. They move slower. They're smaller. It feels like it's not very thought through.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, I agree with that. I didn't care for it. So there were like clear things like astral elves would seem to make good mages. Thri-Kreen would seem to make good fighters, perhaps. The Hadazi seemed to be would make you lean towards a rogue. The big what are the ones that look like they're big and gray?
Oh, the GIF or the GIF.
Oh, the GIF. Okay, so those are pretty clearly fighters,
yeah.
Perhaps, or because they get some kind of spark of something, maybe a cleric. So I don't know. It seemed to me that things would fall into certain categories without a lot of thought.
Yeah. I also thought I have to mention the GIF or the GIF. In the description, they actually divide themselves into how they pronounce the names.
Oh yeah.
I thought that was funny, and they fight.
Right.
Sometimes they come to blows. So I thought that was funny. A big part of this supplement is, of course, the new, like the ships, the spelljamming ships.
The spelljamming ships. That's correct.
So why don't you go first about picking a favorite and a least favorite, if you have one?
Okay. No, I've got a favorite.
Yep.
The damselfly, and I think it was an easy pick. It has the best armor class of 19, and it has the best speed of 8 miles per hour. Now, in flying fighters, we have a saying called "speed is life." So speed is very, very important. The disadvantage to this particular craft is that it's got a low hit points of 200, and it's got a low damage threshold. Now I looked and looked and looked, and I couldn't figure out what low damage threshold meant. What happens? It's 15, but what does that mean? I couldn't find.
I think this is in the Dungeon Master's Guide 5th edition.
Okay. Well, I was just looking in the Astral Adventures Guide. Okay, so what I would do with this is it says in the description that you can use the cargo hold for extra crew. So I would add 2 more ballistas, and because it's only got 1, that would give it a total of 3. And then I would increase the crew by 6. That gives it a total of 15. Now that does affect its breathable air, but it doesn't really explain by how much.
Another vague thing.
Another vague description.
Yes.
But partially using the cargo hold for the extra crew, perhaps to hot dunk them. And anyway, so I use its speed to avoid fights. But if it does come to a fight, its armor class will help it. And if damaged, it can run. It can outrun anything. So it's got the fastest speed. So that's why I say I like that one the best. That would be my ship.
All right. I went for the Night Spider, which is basically the sister ship. It has an AC of 19. These are the only ones that do have an AC of 19, and they're both metal class, I think. At least the Night Spider.
Yeah, both are metal.
Yeah, and the Night Spider has 300 HP. However, it was super expensive. Also, it's the most evil-looking ship, and it's piloted mostly by Neogis or Neogi or whatever you call them. The spider with like an eel's head thing, very evil race. And they use their spelljamming helms to try to take over the ships that they that they board, and then they just get over there and they enslave them and eat them and so on. So so that's pretty much. They also I would use the ballistas. Do you have a choice of ballistas or mangonels?
Yes, mangonels,
yeah.
which are stronger or more. They do more damage.
Yeah. The thing with ballistas was that it's 3 or 4, I believe. So that's quite a lot already. But yeah, so that would be my.
So what's your least favorite?
I didn't find any ship that I hated, but the flying fish ship, I thought it felt boring. It looks boring. It does sail on water, which is a plus, I guess. But it can't even land on regular, like on land, without breaking.
Well, the general thing on ships that some are attached to different races, right?
Right.
And some are better at different purposes. For example, landing on water or on land or teleporting.
Yeah.
So you have to take that into account. My least favorite is the Scorpion.
Okay.
It has a high armor class, but it's very slow. Like I said, I'm into speed, and it only has 2 weapons, but it does have claws that can attack and grapple. So,
that's cool.
But I just particularly didn't like it. It had a low damage threshold, and it just seemed like a waste of time. It just looked like something that pirates are going to take and use or whatever.
Okay. Yeah. So, in general, I think we should address the quality. It's super good quality. Everything, everything from the artwork to the card or the paper stock.
The paper stock is very, very strong. It's very, very good. The art is unbelievable.
Yeah, agreed.
The general rules, I think, are pretty vanilla. It uses a tremendous amount of the player handbook, and it's okay for the new races. So it allows you to populate anywhere with anything, so you get maximum module drop-in ability. So it depends on how much work you want to do or how much module you want to put in, what you're going to get out of this. I would have liked to have seen more character options. They have 2 options that you can use, and I would have liked to have seen something like a space pirate or but maybe you can invent your own. And I would have liked to also maybe see some things like a Spelljammer's union or some organization that you could join. A Spelljammer's union, like perhaps like in an a la Dune kind of thing. There's lots of material just laying around outside of the pirates or conflicts. So I just, like I said, I see it from a way to get from A to B, where you get your adventures at the B end.
Yeah, I I agree with all of that. I would like to use it. Maybe not for a whole campaign, but like a few adventures in between something, rather. So, could be interesting. So, would I recommend it? I'm not sure. How much was it? Can you remember?
I think it was $45.
Okay.
Something like that.
Something like that, yeah. So, yeah, try it out. It wasn't.
Well, it does come. It does come with a DM supplement, and it also comes with some space monsters and stuff.
Oh yeah, yeah. So we should. Yeah.
So
we should
right now we're
that.
only talking about the one book, the Astral Adventures Guide.
Yeah.
But there's 2 other books that comes with it. So
Yeah.
it's it's about that thick.
Right. Yeah.
So there's a lot there. It's just I would have liked to have seen more.
Yeah, you will have to put in some work as the DM. So, anyways, yeah, I think that's it.
Yeah, that's it for me.
All right, see you next time.
Ha, ha.